you all on how to pass business law ICANN exam. Thank you.
Thank you for that, sir. And Mr. Ogunowo, please, are you there? Are you there, sir?
Yes, I'm here. Good evening, everyone.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
So, is Abdul Ghani. So my first name is Abdul Ghani and not Ogunowo. Okay, so thank you. I'm happy to be here this evening. I am the lead tutor for audit and assurance, and I have experience in audit, taxation, and then reporting, accounting. Okay, so it's nice to be here to share our experience on how we have successfully, sat for the exam and then passed the professional exams. Okay, so once again, it's nice to be here. Reporting, accounting.
Thank you.
It's nice to be able to share our experience.
All right, thank you very much for that.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. We really appreciate that. So Queen, I'm sorry for cutting you short. So you can continue. Yeah.
Okay, yes. So having heard from our tutors, we would start off by so this question is going to be directed to the both tutors. So regarding the approach to study, how did you effectively manage your time and balance your ICANN studies with other commitments?
Okay, let me take the lead here. Confirm if you can hear me.
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Boss, we can hear you.
So there's a popular saying that ICANN is hard to write, and at the same time, ICANN is hard to pass. But one interesting thing is that one needs to maintain some sort of focus, and that is the best way to strike balance between, studying to pass, and if you are the type that you are working or you're also schooling. So in my time as a student with the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, it's not easy. But what I do is that I maintain what I call equilibrium, right? By giving myself 8 hours to study. So the 8 hours is a cumulative hour, which then means in the afternoon, I could do like 2 hours. Early in the morning, I could do like, say, 4 hours. And later at night, I could do like 2 hours. So I actually manage my time in that regard. So Saturdays and Sunday, I didn't go to party. I didn't go to visit people. I dedicate my weekend for my studies. And that is how I was able to manage my time. At the time, I was also working while I'm writing ICANN exam. And we know that 8 hours is fully for our work. And it has to be productive for you to get promotion, for you to get good pay at the end of the day. So what do? After work hour, I always study before leaving the office. So most of the time, I leave the office by 10. Why am I leaving the office by 10? Office closing hour is 5 or 6, depending on your department. But for me, I give myself additional time just to study because I know that there's something ahead of me and I have to catch it before time. That's how I was able to, manage my time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Mr. Abdul Ghani, please, I'd like you to take on that question as well.
Okay, thank you, Queen. So, yes, one thing that is applicable to me may not be applicable to all. So, like my boss just said, so at some points, you're writing the professional exams without, you being committed to, work. And at some point, you are fully engaged, and also you have to just make your way. So on that, as a student, so you have to plan your time. So it is very essential because failure to plan your time, you have already planned to fail. So when you've planned your time, for instance, now, if you are working in a corporate environment, so the normal working hours is between the 8 to 5. However, Okay, so depending on the industry you are working, depending on your level, okay, so you may be required to work beyond the closing hour. So in that instances, so if you are mobile, okay, you can always stay back. But if you know that you are not mobile, okay, you are not mobile, so you can't, afford to wait to that late hour, like maybe 10, 11, 12, at night. But you can re-strategize in such a way that, okay, so immediately, you are done with your tasks of the day, so you can start, living. So your plan will be, okay, when I get home, I want to sleep between this hour to that hour. Okay, so at night, I would like to burn some candles. Okay, so because you have to squeeze out time. Because if you want to say that, oh, I'm busy with work, I'm busy with work, the time will never come. Okay, the time will never come. And before you know it, you'll see people, that are close to you, people that you mentored, people that are once your junior colleague in school, and the likes, giving testimony that, wow, I'm now a CA holder, you know, and you'll be asking yourself, oh, what am I still doing? Oh, blaming yourself on this and that, regretting that, oh, if you had known, you wouldn't have gotten married, this and that. Those things are not excuses. Okay, so they are not genuine excuses. So because you own yourself, so you look at it from the point of, okay, what if my current employer, decides to disengage me? Or what if he is dissatisfied with my current performance? So remember that there will always be one pharaoh, or pharaoh one day that we know what, that we not like, or we not even know the present Joseph. Okay, so what that means is that if at the moment your boss is satisfied with your level of performance and the likes, so something may happen tomorrow and they say, okay, we want to acquire your company, and they start, reorganizing. So at this point, you have to re-strategize. If you know you're a type of person that can burn some candle at night, so it is fine. You leave your place of work very early in the evening. Then when you get home, you take your shower, eat, and don't eat heavy food. Okay. So for me, what I do then is to get biscuits. So my cousins, my younger ones, they still make jest of me. Each time we meet and we are discussing our past. So they say, "Oh, bro, do you still take those biscuits?" So Costa and granuts. So that's what I take, so that I will be light all through the night, and I can do I can do 36 hours, but at the end of the week, my brother, I will be knocked out. But during those hours that I sacrifice my time, those things that I learned then, they are still within me. And those things I can tell you that they have become part of me. So the point here is, you need to sacrifice your time. There has never been the time that you are free to achieve your goals. Thank you.
Thank you, good sir. Yeah, we appreciate that, sir. So I'll also be directing this question to you both, sir. So in terms of study techniques, um, what study technique or method did you find most beneficial in understanding and retaining the course material or your course materials? So yes, sir.
Okay. So for me as a person, I just mentioned that my techniques is to read alone. Okay. And the hours of the day that I felt I maximize my level of assimilation is at night. Okay. So I may decide to read from this hour till tomorrow morning. Okay. So my problem is, if I have worked tirelessly during the day, So I may not have that energy to stand up at night to, to read up. So my techniques is, apart from going to lecture room, listening to lecturers, okay, so I prepare my own personal notes. Okay, so I prepare my personal notes, then compare with my jottings during the class. Then after that, I try, solving some questions on my own, trying to ask people, trying to engage people who I know have also read that particular topics, discuss it as if we are chatting. So, and before you know it, those things are, has become part of me. And my challenge for theoretical course, such as audit and assurance, everything they are just theory based. So you have to understand the principle. You have to understand those concepts, those terminologies that are being used, in the audit industry. Otherwise, and that's why most people fail audit. I once failed audit, and what's the reason? Because I just take it simple. Like, is it not audit that's why we are in school then? My lowest score is 70, 17 and above. So I can audit is nothing. And unfortunately for me, I failed because I didn't give it what it takes. So like I said, my techniques is to stand up at night, read my books, and during the day, if I have my colleagues that we are doing the same project, the same course, so I can discuss with the person or throw some questions to him or request that he asks me some questions on the topics I have read, just to test my understanding, or my what I've assimilated. Okay, so of that particular topic. So, and again, for me, I don't I don't do random sampling. Okay. So if I have 12 topics, I try to read all the 12 topics. Because for instance, now for audit and assurance, you will notice that those topics are interrelated and you have to start from the basics. So that is from the introduction part of the study test. So if you just want to jump to maybe chapter 3, chapter 4, without starting from the chapter 1, okay, so you may find it difficult to understand some things that will be discussed in those previous subsequent chapters. Okay, so if you are doing Baba Jebu by saying, okay, I read chapter 1, I read chapter 3, chapter 5, 6, then you jump to 8. Okay, so and at the end of the day, you sit for the exam and you fail. Okay, I won't be surprised because initially you are a joker. Okay, so you want to go and write ICANN exam and you may say that, okay, some people are doing it's working for them. I'm not, so it may work for them. So, but mine is, if something is working for people, don't expect that it will work for you. And if something bad is happening to people, it doesn't mean that the same thing will happen to you, even though you are on the same path or you are going the same way. So it's not necessary. What should be mindful of is you own your time, they own their time. So you are not running the same race. Okay, so they are running their race and you're also running your race. So for me, mine is to jot down the notes from chapter 1 to the last chapter. Then when it's time for exam, it is my notes that I revise. So I love reading my notes because I jotted them down. I understand everything in my notes, and that's fine for me. So that's my own techniques. Thank you.
Thanks for that, sir. Oh,
Do you understand?
okay.
Yes, thank you so much for that, Mr. Abdulganiyu. Yes, so next question, I'll be directing my question to Mr. Afiz. So regarding resources and materials, are there any specific textbooks or online resources or study aids that you would recommend for students preparing for ICANN examination?
That's a kind of dicey question for any ICANN professional student. First thing first is The recommended textbook by ICANN should be the first point of reference to every student. Now, for some of those courses, we have them in the Polytechnic University. So your lecturer's material will also be helpful. Why am I saying that? Those lecturer materials are easy to understand because they are academic in nature. And these are people that you are seeing every day. You then understand their method of passing information to you, right? So that one is there. You have to study your lecturer's materials. I mean, your academic lecturer material, if you have a book for it. Now, the recommended textbook by ICANN is very, very essential. For me, I read wide, right? I read wide. As a matter of fact, I read beyond my level for those that know me, right? I don't read to prepare for exam. I read like I want to know it all. And these have been helping me till today. But just to give a direct response to students on this call, number one, you need to read the recommended textbook by ICANN, the institution itself. The lecturer material in your school, for those of you that you are still in school, there are some lecturer material that are useful. Those ones will serve like a revision position for you just to understand the subject matter. Now, for those of you that go for tutorials, I advise students to also read the lecture, the tutor material, because the tutor have done a first-hand assignment by reading through the ICANN syllabus and summarizing everything, taking into consideration the past questions and how I can always ask questions over the years. So that one is also a very good way to study and for you to pass exam. So in summary, the material I would recommend for any student is number one, ICANN recommended material. Number two, material given to you by your professional tutors. Number three, if there is textbook that is written by academician on the same course or subject, for instance, your lecturer in your school, your colleges, you can as well read that. Those two material will help you. Lastly, if you are a tech savvy and you want to enjoy reading, you can try as much as possible to also get some material online. From investopedia.com, opentuition.com, and some of the ACCA learning material will also help you, particularly for FR, for business law, for MG, and for corporate reporting. I can tell you for sure that these materials will help you. Above all, ICANN online tutors, the lecturers have a customized material available for all courses. Those materials I will tell you all to please get hands on them and study them back to back. Over the years, you see that question comes out from our material. And why are we having that is because the teachers sat down, do their assignment very well, taking into consideration the way ICANN have been setting exam over the years, and that is how they have come up with the material. So please, it is important you go for ICANN recommended material, your tuition or your tutor materials, your lecturers, your school materials, and if you can also lay hands on online material, please do that. That is what I will advise you. Thank you.
Thanks for that, sir. So I'll be directing this to Mr. Ganiu. So Mr. Ganiu, concerning mock exams and practice, how did you utilize your mock exams or practice questions to better prepare yourself for the actual ICANN exams?
Okay, thank you. So first of all, I am Abdul Ghani. So now, boss me. So now,
I'm sorry, sir.
It's no problem. No, I understand. You see, it is important to mention that mock exams prepare you to pass your exam. So why I'm saying this is because I've tried it and it works well for me. Okay, so because for ICANN, you don't expect ICANN to ask you what is audit, okay, or list the types of assurance services that you know. Okay, so ICANN will come with a problematic, question. So because they believe that as a student of ICANN, you should be a problem solver. So you should have some skills. Okay, so both quantitative and qualitative. Now, for instance, last diet was somehow because a lot of students uh, got surprise pack from ICANN. Why? Because ICANN felt that okay, let's change ways, let's dig deep. But for some people, a lot of students pass as well. Okay, why? The reason is they are well prepared, they are fully prepared. So you should aim high. Okay, like my boss just mentioned that he goes beyond his level. Why? Because you know that after exam, there are still exams that are not paper written. Okay, so your exams at work, your colleague can just walk up to you, your junior ones can just walk up to you at work and ask you, boss, do you have idea about this and that? So that's just it. So mock exam, we did it, was it November 2021? And it's like a live and direct questions, for my taxation students. So now just imagine someone that wasn't part of the mock revision class, or someone that did not even try to attempt the mock questions. So to such person, those questions will be like, they will look strange. So, and to the extent that we had a best student in taxation, and she confessed to me that it's as if we saw the questions ahead. Okay, so practicing more questions is very effective for those that have tried it. They can give testimony. Okay, so and also it's prepare students for the actual ICANN exams. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Abdulgani. Really appreciate your presence. So before we move on, um, we like to take some questions from the students. So if you have any question, you can signify while we um, collate them. Yeah, so I can see some hands up already. So Babajide Ajayi, you can unmute yourself and go ahead and ask your question. Thank you.
Okay, good evening. Thank you so much, sirs. Thanks to IHOT for this initiative. Please, while Mr. Afiz was speaking, he made mention of the need for one to also read ICANN recommended material textbooks. I've searched online. I've not been able to find a list of ICANN recommended textbooks that that pertain to the subjects I want to write. Please, can you please give a direction on how to get those lists? Thank you, sir.
Mr.
Thank
Abdulafiz.
Should I also say my name is Afiz? Okay, so thank you. Some love calling him Abdulafiz, but I'm popularly addressed as Afiz. So, Mr. Babajide, right? So that's a very good question. Some of us we are holding ICANN. So I don't know how the material is being done now, but at the end of the study pack, there are listing of other reading material that you can go for. There are listing of other reading material that you can go for, right? So a very good example for performance management, for instance, there is a reference for Adeniyi performance book. Also for financial reporting, there is a reference for Kashmir book, right? So I think for now, what I can only have is the study pack. That what do they even call it now? I forgot, sorry. So that is a study pack. So I will recommend you to read that major study pack, but it is beyond that. Sometimes the wordings in the ICANN material might be so hard for you to understand. So that's why you have to exchange by reading further materials. But we can take this out of the call, right? Where I will go to make findings of some peculiar material for you, then I'll send it to you via WhatsApp. I think you are also one of our students at foundation class, right? So it's easier for us to relate. But what is clear is that I can have a listing of material that are additional material to their past question. 1 minute, permit me to check. I think I have a book here. While we talk, someone can take it off from here. I want to check to see if I have one of the ICANN packet. Thank you.
Okay, so
so thank you so much.
Okay, sorry. I have something
You can
some
go
things
ahead,
to
Mr.
add.
Abdul. Okay, please go ahead.
Okay, so for some of the courses, okay, so there are local standard, okay, so such as taxation. So you don't need to source for any international material, unlike financial reporting, corporate reporting, and the likes. Okay, so for taxation, I do tell students that the ICANN study test is enough, okay, because it is quite detailed. However, because what we have seen recently is that the federal government, amends the tax law through the fiscal policy to using the Finance Act. Okay, so it started 2019, and ICANN has only reviewed the syllabus once. Okay, that's this current one we are using. Okay, because the one that was done then in 2019, effective 2020, doesn't factor in some of those things. So since that of 2021 review, so we have not seen any review. So I guess either these by next year, ICANN should come up with another one. So for taxation students, it is advisable that apart from reading ICANN study tests, read on this Finance Act. Okay, so in the Finance Act, for instance, recently, the education tax has changed from 2.5% to 3%. However, the president, decides to, extend the date of implementation. So ICANN can come in the exam, just to test your knowledge and put 3%. Okay, so don't say that, oh, no, why should ICANN put 3%? Maybe it's a mistake and you want to use 2% or 2.5%. Okay, so because in each of the, in all of the courses now, what ICANN has done is to include emerging trends, okay, or current issues. So in your taxation, we have current issues and emerging trends. So what does that mean? What it means is that as a professional, you are not expected to be stagnant. Okay, so you have to improve on yourself. You have to, do research. So again, for taxation and audit and assurance, what you have in your study test is enough. However, where you are finding it difficult to understand some terminologies or some concepts, you can always reach out to your lecturer or go to Google, do more research on them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, boss. Let me quickly put a clear position before we move to the next question. Mr. Ajayi asked a question as regards he has checked the ICANN syllabus, he did not see extended written material. So for the 8 years, ICANN 8 years, there's extended written material that are referenced. However, for the professional, I have here with me corporate reporting. So I look front and back. All you are expected to study is this MLA material written for ICANN. But then we advise students to go by studying the lecturer pack that is given in the class, as well as some recommended textbooks that are easy to understand. A very good example for corporate reporting, there is a book that is being written by Kashmir Idikulem, Teach Yourself Corporate Reporting. It's one of the material that you can read to understand corporate reporting, in addition to what ICANN has given us in the pack. So we advise students not to only read the pack, but also extend their reading so that they can have a good understanding of the subject matter. Lastly, before I go, I don't read only for exam. I also read to understand the subject, because as a chartered accountant, you do a whole lot of function in practice. So the training process is a very good way for you to understand in the first level of theory. So when you get to the practical angle, it will be easy for you to triumph. But if you are only reading to pass, and I can come in a different dimension, and you do not understand the subject matter very well, it might be hard for you to pass the die. So we advise students to please open wide, read wide, and try to understand the subject matter in-depthly. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Abdul-Hafiz. We are running fast on time, so I will
Okay.
just put in, I'll just give you guys like one questions each. I would limit the time of response to 2 minutes
Okay.
for you to answer. So let me start with you, Mr. Abdul-Hafiz. So yes, we understand, apart from the study parks, students are expected to maybe do further research and read some recommended texts, but we should first thing is that students, most of our students, especially at IoT, what they complain of is time. Some of them are bankers, some of them are very busy professionals, so they hardly have time to read, to do anything. You know, I always tell them that one of the reasons we came up with the idea of IoT is to make everything simple, to let them study on the go and everything. Are we saying that the lessons you give them in the classes, the videos, and your detailed, your summarized lesson notes are not sufficient and adequate for them to pass the exams, and they have to look for some other materials in addition to that? Or we can, or you can confidently tell them that the videos and the study materials are going to be sufficient and adequate for them to pass the exam. So in 2 minutes, quickly respond to that, sir.
Okay, thank you very much, my Oga at top. It's a very simple question, and I'll give you a simple response. But firstly, this session is not only for ICANN Online students, it's for everybody. And when I can see the participants say there are more than 20, which means we have other students. So that's why we are giving that response to say, don't just read the ICANN material alone. Don't just read what your lecturer has given to you in the class alone. Please, you can do further reading. Now, coming straight to ICANN Online, this is not a gainsaying. From experience, our material alone is sufficient and appropriate for any candidate to pass the ICANN exam. For the past 5 years, we've always had good pass rates at ICANN Online. And our students will understand their work ethics and complexities that come with working in corporate sector or public sector. So our note is highly summarized. It's easy for anybody to understand, even someone that is not business law graduate or economic graduate or accounting graduate. If you lay your hand on any of our material, it's easy for you to understand. And that's why in every of our session, we try as much as possible to speak the English that is easy for people to comprehend. And we also bring to table good experience of ICANN syllabus. In a nutshell, at ICANN Online Tutors, the way our material is being structured for students, that is enough for them to pass their exam, considering that there's no time for them, and that is why they've decided to enroll for an online classes. But I, as a person, I will still tell them to do an extra bit of further research so that they can see from another lens. It helps them to have a better clarity. When examiner come from here, they will understand. If they come from there, they will also understand. So that is it. Just to get the point clear, our material is enough and sufficient for them to pass the ICANN exam. but to extend a good understanding, possibly, if they have that time, they can further research. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for that. Okay, we have two persons here who have questions, and we have we don't have so much time, probably a minute or so. So please,
No problem.
can you ask your question, please?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much, ICANN Online Tutors, for this wonderful session. And thank you for the initiative behind this platform. So firstly, I actually want to, I'm attending the foundation classes, 3 of the courses. So I must say that I'm appreciating those lecturers that are actually taking us in that course. And I also want to explain this. We have 2 lecturers for MI. The lady, sorry, I forgot her name. She did something by giving us like a combined past questions, like from 2014 to 2023. That's the last date for each of our courses for foundation. So now my question is this, because what I do is this: I don't have that time. Even the ICANN study pack, I've not even finished reading it. I'm gonna be looking for extended material. So what I do is this: I make sure that before the next class, I do 2 things. The previous class, I read it, even if it is 30 minutes, I'll make sure I read it. Then the next topic, because we have this syllabus given to us for each class, the next topic, I make sure I study before going to class. Then recently, I've been, thank God for the past question she gave us. So recently, after doing that, I go to the past questions. I saw them be a year and no continue. So my question is this: during that pattern, I don't have the time to do all the research and everything. Like today, I was able to engage somebody in a conversation on business law. Even myself, I was surprised. So I know this much. So what am I trying to say? Those courses and things like that, are we not good to go enough? Because I'm seeing myself confidence enough to come out best in the exam. Now asking me to go extended or more to go out.
So the sincere response to your question is, number one, I'm the business law lecturer, and I'm glad that you are seeing this in my presence. And like I mentioned earlier, for the past 5 years, our students have only relied solely on our material, and that is what they use to pass the exam. But one thing about ICANN Online, we are very objective in anything we do. We don't say because we want you to be part of us, we should be telling you this all the time. There's something that is fundamental. Our material is fantastic. It's enough for you to pass. But if you have little time, you can do further research. But if you don't have that time, the material is enough for you to pass. Take, for instance, at the beginning of every lecture, for business class now, at the beginning of every lecture, I always give you at least 2 questions from the past question, and I will solve that question for you in the class or give you as assignments. That is a basis of passing the ICANN examination. We understand the trend and we follow that trend. So in a nutshell, if you don't have the extra time, our material is enough. And glory be to God, we have the past question with us. At every level of our topic, we always solve 1 or 2 questions. And I believe that is enough for you to pass. Thank you. The next person.
Okay,
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Go ahead.
Okay, sir. Sir, please, as of last May session, I wrote foundation and I did the tutorial with ICANN Online Tutors, and I focused mostly on what I was given, like the notes. But I'm not really sure about business law. Like I can't really remember per se. But like other courses are like MI and financial accounting. Yeah, they asked questions that were not like from the notes ICANN Online Tutors gave us. And I even heard about the complaint because of like because I'm doing this present one with them, and I passed this the foundation, I passed everything, so I'm doing skills now with them. So when one of the lecturers, they were talking, they were saying that I can't just fuck everybody up, like they did somehow to everybody. That's why it was like that. Like normally they brought out questions that they were not meant to bring out. So I just feel that to be on a safe side, you should always just go through their textbook because we don't know, anything can happen again.
Let me give a quick response to that. In business law, for this level, there's a assignment I saw for them that is not part of the syllabus from A to Z. But that's why we always go advanced. If you cannot do further reading, with the lecturer, we are doing further reading for you. And that's why most of the time, people don't have problem with the topic or the courses we are taking at ICANN Online Tutors. But the interesting thing is that ICANN expects you to even read beyond the syllabus sometimes. So that's why they always said a very large or big question. But at the same time, if you check very well the syllabus, the question is coming from one of the topic. So one thing is clear. Let's try to focus on ICANN Pack, ICANN Online material given to you. And if you have time, please attempt more of the past question. Every one of you have a line. You can come to our DM and let's further discuss question and answer. I think that will help us from they didn't teach us in the class. They didn't do this in the class. Thank you. The next person, Adebowale, sorry.
So before we take the question from Adebowale, so for those of you that are joining us for the first time, or you are joining us via YouTube or any of the social media platforms, if you want to reach us for further inquiries, you can contact us on 07044576011. I'll take that one more time, 07044576011. Or you can also contact us on 0811 0866 I will take that again, 0811 0866 or simply visit our website on www.icanonlinetutors.com.ng. icanonlinetutors.com.ng. That's our website for further inquiries. So our Adebowale will take your question, and okay, I will take the class will take your question and call it a day. So our Adebowale, please, in 1 minute, you can unmute yourself.
Good evening, sirs. Thank you for this session. So I actually I'm an online student. I joined just last week. So I want to ask, how can I get this ICANN online materials so that I can read up and catch up to speed?
Okay, so I just called out the numbers to contact. So you can contact us on 07044576011. So we take the cast question, the cast review soon, and we'll call it we round up for the day, so that those that are having classes early tomorrow can go to bed and take rest before their classes. So the cast.
Yeah, I was one that spoke just now.
Okay, there's the cast that spoke. So Adebowale, are you? How about Adebowale? Okay, I think Adebowale doesn't have any questions. So we've dropped the question, the contact numbers and the website address, web address. We've dropped it on the chats for those of you that need it. So Adebowale, are you still asking your question?
No, I don't think it's necessary again. I don't want to waste people's time. So I've gotten what I needed to know. All I just need access to the material and all that. That's all.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much. So Mr. Abdulgani, before we call it a day, although we saw you adding some points for taxation, we still hope to bring you back on this program for taxation especially. So you made mention of how changes in a government law could affect the kind of questions you students could be asked in the exam. So let me ask you, so let's say there's any change in tax law or any other changes, maybe in audit standards or in anything. How long is ICANN expected to test this? Is it immediately or after a certain period of time? So let's say the government makes a new law today. Can ICANN still test it this diet, or it has to be next diet, or it has to be after 1 year, or is it when the syllabus is changed?
Okay, thank you. So as a principle, so it should be after 6 months from the date of implementation. 6 months from the date of implementation. However, because like I mentioned earlier, in most of the courses at ICANN now, okay, ICANN has included emerging trends and current issues. Emerging trends and current issues. So the implication of these topics in our courses is that as a student, we are expected to be to always be on top of our game. For instance, one of our code of conduct is professional competency. And for you to be competent, you have to be relevant. And if you want to be relevant, you need to know what is happening, within your environs, what is happening at the moment. So, like I said earlier, as a principle, it should be after 6 months from the date of implementation. But the examiner, like I used to tell students, so you should always assume the mind of the examiner. And that's why Mr. Abdulhafiz is emphasizing that we should always try to go out of the box, because it goes beyond writing our ICANN exam. And that's why, for instance, there was a day I was opportune to be part of an interview panelist. And I asked the interviewee that, okay, can you run us through this standard? What are the things you can tell us about these, and that? And she was like, and this is someone that she's an ACA holder, okay, qualified some maybe 5 or 10 years ago, but she can't remember. She can't even mention anything. And she's working as an accountant. Why? Because she's not updating herself. Okay, she's not upscaling her skill. She felt that because she's now holding the certificate, so every other thing is no longer relevant to her. So, like I said, emerging trends and current issues are very, very important in our, our day life, and also in whatever we do. So, as an ICANN member or student member,
Students.
so your competency as a student, so your competency is very, very, very key. So for you to be to adhere with that principle of professional competence, there is no excuse for not being aware of emerging trends and current issues. So in taxation, we have emerging trends and current issues. In audits, we have emerging trends and current issues. So now in audits, we have the ISQ M1, okay, is effective 31st December 2022. Okay. Apart from ISQM, we see the ICFR, we see a lot of things, climate changes and the likes. Those things now are coming into audit. So you can see my guy is just smiling. So auditors now, our brain is is on the hot side. Like I don't know the centigram I will give to it. So the implication now is there is no excuse for anyone. Even as a student, you are expected to be on top of your game. So 6 months as a principle, but in practice, it can be tested on the implementation day. Thank you, sir.
Let me also add to that, Malga, before you call me. I will always advise students to please, anytime you see updates, read it, learn it. Yes, in principle, I can say 6 months after implementation date. But what we have seen in practice, I can cite more than 2 diets that those questions were asked almost immediately. Right? So that's just what I would say. And for those of you that you are writing financial accounts, I think there's a little bit of something you should also put into consideration, because I know now you are being taught IFRS, even though is at a simple level. So there's also what we call sustainability reporting. It's also a flow of FA, FR, and CR. So try to read a little about it so that when question is being given around that, it will not be new to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much to everyone, most especially our guest tutors, Mr. Abdulafiz Adebimpe and Mr. Abdulgani Ogunowo. We really appreciate you for taking out time to join us on this live webinar. And also a big thank you to my colleagues, Miss Queen Esther Upe and Mr. Abdul Martin Orumo for also joining this call. I really appreciate you. And also a special thank you to all the participants for taking out time to join this thought-provoking session. I hope you all enjoyed it, and I hope it's impactful in passing your exams. I wish
Yes,
you
sir.
all good knowledge and retentive memory as you take your next ICANN exams. Thank you, everyone, and do have a great day.
Thank
Do
you.
have a great night.
Thank you, sir. Have a
Thank you,
good
ICANN Online, for having us
Yes.
here. Thank you, everyone, for joining. See you guys in class tomorrow. Bye.
Yes, sir. Bye, sir. Thank you, sir.
Bye. Thank you.
Take care. Bye bye, everyone.
Bye, sir.